Hello and welcome to Newin's Anime Review. I am Newin, and in this show I review anime based on story, characters, animation, sound, and enjoyment, and give an overall rating based on the tiering system that I have created. The review is intended to give you an idea whether this is the right anime for you or not, so please enjoy. Like with any other Fate franchise story, it's confusing at first, but it becomes really fun and interesting once you get into it. Well, this is probably going to be the most confusing story at first, especially if you're a newcomer to the Fate franchise, or if you're not yet played the Fate Grand Order mobile game. Because this story is actually the 7th singularity in the Fate Grand Order game. It's essentially the game's first act, second to last story arc, so that's why the story can be confusing, as you will need a lot of knowledge from the previous story arcs before hopping into this story. The anime does briefly go through a quick summary of the lead up to the story arc, but I would say it's not enough to get you fully immersed into the plot. But this is all fine to an extent, as each arc in Fate Grand Order is pretty much a standalone story on its own. Their stories have a clear beginning and ending, but however, there is a link between each story that plays a part on the overall narrative. To give you a basic rundown on what Fate Grand Order is about, Chaldea's security organization's job is to maintain order within the universe and to maintain balance. They hop into different timelines with irregularities to restore the peace and to collect the Holy Grails within that singularity to help them save the future. In the most basic rundown, it's about saving the past to restore the future, therefore maintaining Grand Order. So our Chaldea master, Ritsuka Fujimaru, and demi-servant, Marsh Kirillite, head into Babylonia, a time where King Gilgamesh reigns over to help restore order to that specific time. In this timeline, there are demonic beasts that are terrorizing the land. While that is happening, Gilgamesh is protecting his kingdom from not only the beasts, but also the three goddess alliance who aims to eradicate all of humankind. That is the basic plot of this particular storyline. However, there is a quick twist. Gilgamesh already owns the Holy Grail, but to obtain it from him, Fujimaru and Marsh must prove themselves worthy to gain it. The story itself has a basic concept, but the way the story unfolds, it's quite a thrill ride. As it progresses, the stakes get higher and higher, with a lot of character revelations and developments. Babylonia has a lot of characters with a large amount of developments. Gilgamesh is probably the most interesting character in this story, as once an arrogant king, he is now wiser throughout the years. If you know the Fate universe, Gilgamesh is depicted as a big, arrogant dickhead, who gives no sympathy for others really. But in this story, he is now wiser and more mellowed down, ruling as a proper king for his people. I think seeing this side of Gilgamesh is one of the many reasons that makes this story interesting, especially for long-time Fate fans. Seeing how this character has changed drastically, but still maintained the charisma he had in previous adaptations. But finally, seeing him be a ruler rather than a dictator is one interesting development to behold. And almost every other character is interesting in their own way with great character arcs. I'm not going to talk about them individually as we'll probably hear all day. However, I will talk about our main characters, Fujimaru and Marsh, who have very little character development throughout the series, as their story is mainly built up through the combination of stories throughout the game. Fujimaru and Marsh developments comes from more of believing in others, if that makes any sense. They are pretty much the same characters at the start of the story and the end. But I'm not going to lie, they are adorable idiots basically in an isekai. Even though the development is rather minimal compared to the other characters, it shouldn't matter too much since Fate Grand Order is more about the vast majority of different servants, and I guarantee you all the servants in this world are likable and interesting characters, playing major roles in the story and slowly helping out our main heroes develop just a bit more. The story is easy to follow as a standalone, but without the knowledge of what happened in the story beforehand, it can be a little confusing to get the gist of the concept of the world, as Fujimaru and Marsh and the rest of Chaldea are already established characters with goals in mind. And if you played the game, you will know their journey already and seen the development. But as an adaptation, how is it, you ask? What I love about this adaptation is that it is essentially bringing one of the best story arcs into the anime. The world finally feels alive, and seeing these characters, who are basically just sprites and talking heads in the mobile game being animated, makes the world they have built much more alive. Speaking of this game finally being animated, if you think about modern Fate series, everyone always thinks of the ufotable adaptations first. And seeing amazing visuals, especially during the fight scenes, well, I am happy to say that this anime adaptation gives justice to the Fate series, and adds to the already amazing resume of gorgeous and dazzling fight scenes. Every action scene in Grand Order is made with high quality sakuga. The visuals and effects of each ability is done beautiful, and when you pair that up with the sound design, it looks amazing. Every fight, despite the context, feels like a high stakes battle. The way every blow connects with each other, you feel the weight of it. However, there is a trade-off for such great amazing set pieces. If you look closely, every character pretty much has the same face. Now, Fate is already a meme when it comes to character designs. We all know there are many different Saber faces, Sakura faces, Rin faces. Heck, there are 2 Rin faces characters in this anime. But I'm not talking about that. The art style is actually rather simple enough. that all you need to do is change the colors of their eyes, and voila, you got yourself another character. The coloring is simple enough that you can get away with this. Although the characters are all unique and have cool designs, it is simply templated in a way where if you look closely, each character is not that much different from each other. Now this is not necessarily a bad thing, considering how every fight scene is an amazing work of art, and I would take that trade off any day. The soundtrack is great like any Fate soundtrack. It feels really epic, perfect for the setting. And during the fight scenes, it adds to the intensity of the visuals. But it's not only the fight scenes, there are the sometimes more mellow scenes, basically the slice of life in Babylonia scenes, where you feel at home watching the heroes go on about their daily lives. The soundtrack does a good job at not only supporting the visuals but adds to the overall visual storytelling as well. When it comes to sound design, I'll mainly talk about the fight scenes. Now even though I personally find the sound design fine, like I said earlier, you can really feel the weight of every blow. But to some people, it may get annoying, because honestly, sometimes they tend to all sound the same after a while. A metal clang kind of sound. Now I personally find this alright when used correctly, especially for some scenes. At times, other scenes, it could use a little less. But for the most part, it's fine and acceptable, because it does add that much more of an impact to it. When it comes to voice acting, the Fate franchise at this point has accumulated itself many voice actors, considering how many characters they have in the franchise. And Fate Grand Order, a mobile game with a lot of different gacha characters as well, you can bet they have a superstar lineup of voice actors as well. For the most part, the voice acting is fine, and the actors are able to play their roles perfectly. Voice acting highlights would be Seki Tomokazu, who plays Gilgamesh, who is able to sell his character's charisma and leadership stature. Sakurai Takehiro, who plays one of the most, if not the most overpowered server in the game, Merlin, steals pretty much the spotlight every time he is on. And of course, I have to mention my favorite, Hayami Sayori, who plays my favorite 3-star servant, Ushiwakamaru. And lastly on the topic of sound, I'm not going to take too long on this, but the opening song is a straight up banger. But the real winner here are the ending songs. All the ending songs feel epic, which really complements that fantasy feel. I honestly can't tell which ending song I like more, Hoshiga Furu Yume or Prover. What these endings also do is give a little backstories to the characters. It's not much, but it does give you a glimpse of their lives during quiet times. As a Fate fan, and as someone who has played the mobile game, I really appreciate this adaptation. Like I said earlier, it was so nice to finally see the magic of this game world and story be fully animated. This anime was truly for fans of the game, because if you play the games, the only Fate Grand Order anime adaptation was the prologue story and the little promotional videos for the game. And I mean, what fan wouldn't want to see their favorite servants being fully animated in anime? Although I was wondering where my double waivers and John Walters were at. Oh wait, that's just servants me and my friends rolled. Like that flex there? Fate Grand Order Babylonia is a great celebration of the mobile game, and with the movie coming for the Camelot arc and a sequel being made to this anime, I cannot wait for the conclusions of the first act of Fate Grand Order in anime form. However, as you can probably tell from those praises I just gave out, this is very much an anime for Fate fans, especially Grand Order fans and players. The story, characters and world will confuse a lot of newcomers and possibly even Fate fans who have probably never played the game. Like, you can watch this anime and see it as a standalone, but you may not appreciate the story as much without the build up to this specific story arc. And this is expected when only the prologue of the game is the only one that has been animated, and the rest leading up to this arc is only really in-game. You will have some confusion with the story, and this is nothing new for the Fate franchise. The story can get very convoluted, and if you are not a Fate veteran, going into this anime can leave you questioning a lot more. So if you do end up watching this anime without prior knowledge, just know that this is a separate story from the main Fate series, and also know that this is just one arc that is much later in the game. It's a fun story and simple enough to follow for the most part. It can be confusing if you are really going into it blind though. If the story is not the thing that hooks you, the fight scenes should be something to look forward to, because by the gods, they are amazing visual set pieces. For my final rating of Fate Grand Order Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia, I'm going to put this anime in a B tier. For Fate fans, this is an A tier anime, but for everyone else, B tier is probably where it belongs. This anime adaptation is more of a thank you letter for long-time fans of the Fate series. Newcomers might find this anime a bit intimidating at first, with being flung into a story that's already set up by the game, but at least all the fights are amazing to watch. Production wise, this anime is very fun and epic to watch. Just ignore the very similar looking faces and you can enjoy this anime to the fullest. It is a fun series to watch and even more fun if you are a Fate fan. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Newin's anime review and tune in for the next anime review. Please give this video a thumbs up if you want and subscribe to my channel. Keep watching, enjoy anime, watch what you want, and sayonara!